All right, so in this example, it says describe the graph of g of x is equal to negative 2x squared minus 4x plus 21 relative to f of x equals x squared. So this type of question is actually, it's like a transformation type question, right? Compare this with the parent function. Basically, that's what the question is asking. All right, so there's a couple things, right, you need to know. First of all, you need to write this in vertex form, okay? So this needs to be in vertex form because in vertex form, it's easy to compare with the parent function. So let's write it in vertex form. So instead of using the x equals negative b over 2a formula, on this problem right here, I'm going to complete the square with you. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do in completing the square is I want to group the first two terms. Now this coefficient right here, right, notice it's a negative 2. It needs to be a positive 1. So the first thing I'm going to do is factor out that negative 2. You're going to have x squared, right, plus 2x. Okay? So I factor out the negative 2, and I get x squared plus 2x. All right, so just like the notes, right, except this time there's numbers, what I do right now is take this b coefficient, I divide by 2, and I take 1, and then I square it. Of course, you could do this in your head, okay? So I'm going to add 1. 1 is the value that's going to complete the square. But if I add 1, right, I also have to subtract 1, except notice I'm not actually adding 1, right? This negative 2 is on the outside. So when I distribute negative 2 to 1, I'm actually subtracting 2. So if I'm subtracting 2, right, that means I also have to add 2 to maintain equality. Okay, so that's the key line right there that students often forget. They're like, oh, add 1, subtract 1. Yeah, if this negative 2 wasn't here, but this negative 2 is on the outside. Okay, all right, so this is much easier than the notes that I gave you, right, because that was all in variables. And now you have some numbers. So over here, this factors into a perfect square trinomial, x plus 1 quantity squared plus 23. So notice what I did right here is convert my standard form equation to vertex form by completing the square. Okay, so now you can make a comparison, right? You could say reflection over the x, right? In fact, you probably could have said that in the beginning, right? Because this negative right here still stays the same, whether you write it in, keep it in standard form or write it in vertex form. Since a is less than 0, vertical stretch. Okay, so all your transformation notes still apply here. By a factor of 2. 1 unit to the left, right? Because the vertex, right, is negative 1, comma, 23 units up. And that's how you make a comparison. Write it in vertex form, and I showed you how to do that by completing the square. So we'll do some more practice in class. Okay, so there's example 2. I only have one more example here with you, example 3. And that's just fairly straightforward. It's write the equation. Okay, write the equation of the parabola. Okay, so write the vertex form of the quadratic function. Okay, so keep in mind, these are problems, I think these are problems number 39 through 43 odd in your textbook. Your textbook, right, calls it standard form. Okay, so I know it's a little bit confusing, the two different names, but on a quiz or test, just refer to the vocabulary I give you in the notes. Okay, so that's why it's important to pay attention to what I write. Okay, write the vertex form of the quadratic function, given that your vertex is negative 4, negative 1, and a point on the graph of this parabola is negative 2, comma 4. So really, this is just nothing but a plug-in, right? Ax minus h squared plus k. I'm going to start by plugging in my vertex. X minus negative 4 is plus 4. And all I need right now, right, I already have the vertex. All I need is the a value. And the way you figure out the a value is recognize that this point lies on this graph, right? So just plug in negative 2, comma 4, and you're done. Solve for a. Okay, so 2 squared is 4. And you're going to get 5 over here is equal to 4a. A is equal to 5 over 4. Okay, so that's your a value. You plug it back in, and that will give you the equation of the parabola. 5 over 4, x plus 4 squared minus 1. Okay, so invert text form, but your textbook is going to call it standard form.